Do not move to Midlothian, Virginia unless you watch this video first. What's up, guys? Welcome to another video on living in Richmond, Virginia. Galen, what are we talking about today?
We are going to be taking a look at the pros and the cons of living in Midlothian, Virginia. But before we go any further, do yourself a favor, hit that button down below, like and subscribe so that you can stay up to date as we go through the Richmond, Virginia area. We're boots on the street, even though today we're in the office, as we talk about different restaurants, different neighborhoods, what the cost of homes are going to be, what you should be expecting based on the area that you're living in. But today, we got pros and cons for you.
That's right. If you're looking to move to the area, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to help you find a home. We run one of the top real estate teams in Richmond, Virginia. We cover all of Central Virginia. So all of our contacts below, reach out to us if we can help with your buying and selling needs. So we're gonna do the pros first. We wanna talk about the good stuff before we get into the bad stuff. So Galen, what is our first pro?
So the very first pro that we wrote down, it made me kind of laugh and kind of smile, because it says more affordable housing. And we put a little asterisk on that because if you've seen some of our other videos, for instance, we just did one on Short Pump. We've done different ones in Moseley. Moseley is kind of closely tied to Midlothian, but we wrote more affordable housing compared to perhaps areas like Short Pump or even Western Henrico, where we highlighted. So feel free to look at some of those videos. As of this very moment right now, there are 62 houses on the market here in this zip code. Midlothian's comprised of about three different zip codes. We looked at the median price for this area. It's about $668,000. So if you're thinking that's affordable, you just give it the context of where we are at right now. And as we look at some pros, you'll see why that it commands such a high price.
Yeah, so there's gonna be cheaper areas around Central Virginia, but most of the time when we get the calls from people saying they're moving here, they're looking for certain things. If they don't want to be in the city, they're looking for top suburbs. And so compared to, like we said, maybe Western Henrico, Glen Allen, Short Pump, it's gonna be a little bit more affordable. Now, some neighborhoods to check out to really think about what you're looking at. We're actually gonna go from probably about least expensive and kind of move up from there, gauge. Brandermill, you check that out. Woodlake, Walton Park, these are gonna be pretty decent starter neighborhoods, but they can go up in price a little bit more, but they're gonna be more reasonable. Then you start moving into some of your higher end homes, Tarrington, Newmarket, Roundtray, Salisbury, a very, very, very established neighborhood that gets much popularity. And lastly, Halsey. Halsey is one that has just around 1,000 houses, but it's won neighborhood of the year in the country multiple times with multiple different awards. So if you're looking at Midlothian, check out all those neighborhoods we just listed. Again, your price point is probably gonna go low end, $350 to $400, all the way up to well over $1 million. One just sold in Halsey for $2 million. So pretty good gauge there as far as pricing goes. What else we have?
So the next one, we talk a little bit about the abundant amount of shopping options. Oftentimes when we sit down with a buyer, inevitably that conversation comes up like, what's close by? Do we have a grocery store? Is there malls there? Are there like hospitals nearby? And what is nice about Midlothian, similar to like Henrico or Glen Allen, it's abundant and it's rich in areas like that. So we've got shopping centers, we've got grocery stores. Right now where Jared and I are sitting, we're looking at an Aldi, but what are some of the other ones that we have, Jared?
So you have a Trader Joe's just outside of Midlothian, but typically if you're living in Midlothian, that's a lot of what people are asking for. You got multiple Krogers, you've got a Sam's Club, you've got a Costco, you've got a Fresh Market, you have a Publix.
The big one, Wegmans.
We have a Wegmans.
Where everyone's like, they're losing their mind. Do you guys have a Wegmans?
Do you have
Listen,
Wegmans?
If you're looking to move to Richmond, Virginia, we don't have just one Wegmans.
Two Wegmans.
We got two Wegmans. We're deep in the Wegmans, so that is offering to you there. Jared mentions we've got Kroger, we got Publix. There's really not going to be a food desert in an area like this. You could probably throw a stick and hit a grocery store or a salon or a mart or anything like that, so you're going to be well suited there.
You do have another mall as well, Chesterfield Town Center. So technically, it's right on the corner of Midlothian zip codes. It's Chesterfield, but it's literally at where the zip codes change. Also, Galen didn't mention, he said 3 zip codes, but just so you know, for research, it's 23112, 23113, 23114. But Chesterfield Town Center is going to be a mall. It's not going to be as new and fancy as Short Pump, which again, we have another video you can check out on pros and cons of Short Pump. But it is one of the more established malls. It's not a ghost town. They get like 20,000 people over the weekend. So still a lot going on there as far as shopping, grocery, everything you need.
We'll also add in Westchester because a lot of people wonder, well, was there anything else? Westchester is constantly expanding. We're seeing new, I believe it's condos and apartments over there. Really cool. They've had like a music venue during the summertime that you can see over there. There's restaurants, and we'll go a little bit about that, but the movie theater. So Westchester is also a great option. It's right off of 288. 288 is going to be mentioned in a lot of our videos because it runs a very nice corridor. It basically connects you, if you don't know the area, it's going to connect you to even a Western Henrico all the way down to Short Pump. That's the main thoroughfare to get there.
Yeah, so the next pro is the schools, right? That's something that most of the time when families are moving to the area, they're gonna ask us where are the best school districts to move into, and obviously you have to do your own research on that. As realtors, we can't give you so much guidance on schools, but we find that between Western Henrico and Chesterfield, it's some of the school districts that a lot of families typically want to flock to. Galen, any schools they should check out?
So I believe there's like 8 or 9 high schools in Chesterfield County. The top 5 are all in this area. So Cosby ranks number 1, Midlothian ranks number 2. I believe Monacan, which sits on the barrier there, they rank number 3, and then Cloverville rank number 4. In all 3 of those school districts, there are people that live in Midlothian to kind of give you an idea. Now, these rankings are based on national reports. I looked last night, I believe Cosby and Midlothian, they rank 130th and 145 in the nation, just to kind of give you an idea. But as Jared mentioned, if you're looking for an evaluation, we can kind of be the source of the source. We can kind of show you different websites that you want to look to, but that's something that you want to really do some research, but you'll be very happy.
That's right. James River is another one that you'll see within Midlothian on that kind of that Tarrington 113 side. Galen, next one.
All right, so this is one of my favorites because if you followed any of our videos, Jared and I, we spent a lot of time with business owners, restaurant owners in particular, different dining options. So it's going to be, there's a good variety of dining options. Now, when we say that, there is a small caveat. You're probably not going to see a ton of mom and pops, but there are some. It's not going to be Richmond. There's like a lot of mom and pops, but there are some. Some of the ones that I wrote down that Jared and I, we've been to, and Jared can speak to some of these as well. I wanted to highlight The Bowl, which is at Westchester. That's a new Vietnamese restaurant that I went to last week, and I loved every faux minute of it, so check that one out. The Flying Pig. Now, a lot of people think, well, what's the Flying Pig? Well, if you've looked at one of our videos for Wooden Iron, Flying Pig is the sister restaurant of that. There's going to be a Wooden Iron in several different locations. There's only one Flying Pig, and that's in the heart of Midlothian.
You have a Wooden Iron in Midlothian too, by the way.
You also have a Wooden Iron in Midlothian as well. I wrote down Brick House Diner. That is a neighborhood fan favorite. There's virtually no time that you cannot go there, and it's not going to be packed with people. Sure. People love their breakfast options. What else do we got, Jared?
So Wong's Tacos, also Wild Ginger, same restaurant owner. If you come here, Eat Restaurant Group, you're going to see they've got tons of restaurants in town, but that's just some of the ones they have right in Midlothian. You also have Burger Batch. You have Tazza, which we mentioned in our Short Pump video. That's also another restaurant group in Richmond that has a good kind of bearing here. You have ML Steak that just opened up. The other ML Steak is in the city, so you'd have to be in one of the suburbs in the counties to get ML, and that's Chesterfield. You have Torchy's Tacos. That's going to be an awesome taco spot. We did a review on it. You can also watch our video on that. They're from Texas, but they have a location in Midlothian now. Sedona Tap House, a local corporation. They are all over the country now. There's multiple locations, but they started right here in Midlothian in Westchester Commons. Napa, the wine bar, that's also another owned restaurant branch of Sedona Tap House. They're more based on wine. You have Palermo for Italian. So you have lots of dining options. Like Galen said, if you want the more intimate mom and pop shops in Richmond, you do have to drive to the city. But if you're just looking to get out and have some nice dinner here and there, you're gonna have plenty of options.
Fun best friend team up fact, Palermo is one of the first restaurants Jared and I ever went to when we first met. Oh, that's a little fun, little best friend team up fact for you guys. All right, let's run to our next one. That is going to be plenty of entertainment options. I couldn't agree more. We're not gonna highlight everything that's available. We've got movie theaters, there's parks, there's Jumpology. technologies. There's all these little things that are close by if they're not in Midlothian. But we also have a great list of golf courses that are truly in Midlothian. You think about Salisbury Country Club, the Foundry is nearby, Independence Golf Club, it's in Midlothian, Stonehenge, that's private, it's in Midlothian. What else is it? We got Providence, that's nearby. So we got good options for mom and dads. You can sneak away on a Saturday morning, play an early tea time, and then still be back for all the other stuff you gotta do during the day.
It's why a lot of people like living in Salisbury, actually, because the country club is right there. You can do a social membership, or at least you used to be able to. They may have gotten rid of social memberships, but you got the golf membership, plus you have independence. So if you're really into golf, if you're looking into 23113 Midlothian, you're going to be literally a mile or two from both golf courses, which are very good. And the Foundry is only maybe 5 miles down the road. Now, stacking on top of that, gyms, right? People like to have a good place to work out. You've got, obviously, the country clubs we've talked about. They have gym memberships there as well. But you also have an ACAC. There's an ACAC in Shore Pump as well. You have MAC, which is just in Midlothian here locally. And then you have American Family Fitness as well. There's a lot of American families around the area. If you're coming from out of state, you may not know AmFam, but AmFam is pretty big here, and they do have one in Midlothian as well.
And there's a Gold, right?
Yeah. There's a Gold gym at Westchester as well. There's multiple Gold gyms. You've got some Crunch Fitnesses. You've got your 24-hour fitnesses. You've got all of that stuff as well, but a lot of different gym options. We mentioned golf courses, but as far as entertainment goes, Westchester has the movie theater. You also have an indoor golf club, essentially, where if you don't want to sit out and actually sit on the course, you can go play virtual golf. They have a bar,
TrackMan,
really neat stuff, and then you're right down the road from some of the other stuff like Top Golf and things like that, but not directly in Midlothian. So,
you know, one place I just thought we didn't mention Sidecar.
Ooh, yeah, rum bar.
Hey, reverse back, you guys. There's an awesome rum bar here in Midlothian. You've probably seen us. We post a lot. If you're following us on social media, feel free. We'll put our contact information below. But follow us on social media. You'll see us at those places and kind of talk about their drink menus and things like that as well.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the fewer cocktail places where it's going to stay open a little later. You know, again, if you want the nightlife, you will need to go to the city. All right. What do we got?
So convenient access to everything, to highways, and we got to mention, like, there's certain parts of Midlothian where it might be a little bit of a challenge getting to them, but as a whole, you're basically 25 to 30 minutes from everything. So you're about 20-25 minutes from Shore Pump, 20-25 minutes to Richmond, Midlothian proper. Now, again, you're probably going to see this and people jump in the comments and say, it takes me 45 minutes to get up Hall Street or get down Midlothian. You are correct. But in general, as far as just the township, getting to the areas is very convenient. We don't have the traffic. And as we mentioned in our pros and cons of Richmond, Virginia, we just don't generally have that level of traffic just in the area at all. It's definitely not in Midlothian, even though we are seeing some new construction. A little bit of congestion, but I think it's a welcome trade-off versus what you can see in maybe Northern Virginia or even DC.
Yeah, if you actually look at a map of Richmond and then you pull that Chesterfield County into it, you also have lower Chesterfield County and then the Tri-Cities, Colonial Heights. If you're a military person, like Fort Gregg Adams down that way, Hopewell, Prince George, and then you've got Western Henrico, Eastern Henrico. Midlothian is actually more central than Richmond City itself. So we're actually sitting in our office in Midlothian, and I find that for everything we sell, it's actually the closest thing to get everywhere versus being kind of positioned in a corner of one of these Central Virginia areas and having to travel across or down or through. So, and like Galen said, you've got Powhite coming right in as the toll road. That comes right through 288, and you hop on either one of those and you either shoot east towards the city, you can shoot south towards Chester and Tri-Cities, north towards Shore Pump, and 288 runs right into 95. 288 also runs right into 64 when you get out Chesterfield. So that's really it for the pros.
Those some great pros, and yeah, I know we've taken a long time, but there's just so many pros in the area. Jared, you can even mention some of the breweries that are available, because a lot of Richmond is a brewery dense area. Midlothian proves to be the same. Yeah. What are some of the breweries?
Steam Bell is local in Midlothian. Triple Crossing is local in Midlothian. Crazy Rooster is literally right on the line. Extra Billy's is a barbecue smokehouse and brewery. They do brew their own stuff. Hidden Wit, that's in one of our other videos in Mosley nearby. Fine Creek, also in one of our videos nearby in Powhatan. So whereas our Shore Pump video, there wasn't really any breweries in Shore Pump, and you do have to drive a little bit to get to them. You have to go to like Rockville to get to the closest one. You actually have about 6 options in Midlothian.
We can see one from where we're sitting.
That's true. Yeah, within about 15 minutes, you got 6 brewery options. So great to be able to sit outside. have a beer on the weekends.
So we had a ton of pros. We've got a couple of cons that are just basically dependent on your taste and your preference. The number one, higher real estate taxes versus other locations in other areas. Yes, Midlothian, you're going to see a higher tax rate than even in Henrico in some parts, and even in Richmond.
But it's pretty close.
Yeah, so when we say higher, we're not talking about, these huge gravitas distances. We're just talking about slight tweaks that if you're buying a house that's, let's say, $668,000, you're probably not too worried about what your tax rate is for that property.
Yeah, and I will say, if you're looking for really cheap taxes, what you're going to want to look at is actually more of the rural counties outside. So Powhatan, Goochland, Amelia, they're going to have much cheaper tax rates if that's something that factors you in. So this is going to be more in line with Henrico. So it's two slightly fewer amenities, right? We have the video on Shore Pump. A lot of people will lean towards Shore Pump because their mall is newer. You got a little more stuff in the way of restaurants. You have the Trader Joe's right there. You have a Whole Foods out there. So while you do have almost all of the grocery stores you could ever want here, and you do have plenty of dining options and things like that, for the most part, you're going to have a little bit less on the amenity side compared to Henrico on the western side on that Shore Pump side of things. Again, we also talked about kind of the nightlife side of things. If you want nightlife, you're going to want to look for the city. If you want a place to be able to go eat at 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, 2 in the morning, it ain't happening in Midlothian. And Galen had mentioned Sidecar, great cocktail bar, but there's not a ton of that here. For the most part, you're going to be heading home around 9 or 10 o'clock. You know what I mean? So the city's close by. You're still 25 minutes away from Midlothian in the city. But the reality is, if you want that, it's going to be a con for you.
Okay. I like that. So the next one, we did have to mention traffic congestion, and there's a really good reason for that. If you look at Shore Pump, we've mentioned there's not a ton of new construction over there. Whereas in Midlothian, if you look at Moseley, Halsey, if you go on that side, there is a lot of new construction. What we've seen that mostly during congestion we see is during rush hour. Hull Street, a lot of people complain, oh, what are we going to do? But what is nice is that Chesterfield County has already made infrastructure plans, so they're already expanding a lot of the roads. They've created different, like Otterdale, they've made that expansion, so that is all easing up. But as of right now, that has been maybe something to complain about, but I feel like it's really worth the trade-off, basically what you're getting, the property value, the area. I think it's worth it.
This is location specific. So Midlothian is a pretty big area in Chesterfield. There's 80,000 people, 75,000 people that live here. Mm-hmm. So here's what you want to keep in mind as you're looking at your map. If you're on Hull Street, going out towards some of the neighborhoods we listed like Woodlake and heading towards Moseley, that's where you're going to see the most congestion through rush hour. It's pretty bad. Midlothian Turnpike, you get it, but it's not nearly as bad as you move into the northern end of Midlothian, 113, as you're just coming down Huguenot Trail, which is Route 711. It runs into Huguenot and Robius. Essentially, it's Huguenot Trail and Robius Road. You're going to see far less congestion. So while it is there, it's not nearly as bad as what we talked about in Shore Pump right down that Broad Street corridor, and it's mainly towards the lower end of Chesterfield, heading out to Woodlake, which leads us to our last con, which also has a pro coming, and that is that it's not as convenient to major highways depending on where you are. Again, this is going to be area specific. If you're right off of 60 and 288 or Hull Street and 288, you're right on your major interchanges. If you're looking in 114 Midlothian, that's almost the sweet spot because you're literally right at Powhite and 288. You can be in the city in 15, 20 minutes. You can be up on Midlothian Turnpike in 6, Hull Street in 6, Shore Pump in 19 or 20. But again, if you're on this lower corridor, down near almost going into Moseley, that Woodlake Midlothian, you find that it's just straight in Hull Street or straight out, or you're having to come up that Otterdale exchange that Galen talked about. It's going to be much more trafficked in the evenings, but I say that with a caveat. They are bringing Powhite's Highway all the way in to Roundtree and Newmarket and all the way out towards Woodlake and even into Moseley at Mag Green. If you move to Mag Green, you actually have to pay separate taxes to pay for this highway that's coming in, and it's a master plan of Chesterfield.
You grumble now, but you'll be thanking them later.
So even though you're dealing with it right this second, at some point the interstates will come in, so it can be a con that ultimately goes away at some point.
All right, guys, so I hope by looking at this video, you kind of get a clear understanding what Midlothian Virginia is like. We gave you some pros, we gave you cons, and as always, we encourage you jump into the comment section. I find that very often people say, well, you forgot about this place, forget about this person, and that's fair because we want to know, well, what is your feedback? What is your experience in this area? How can we improve these videos? What can we share that maybe we missed? We're looking forward to hearing from you.
That's right. If you disagree with us, tell us you disagree with us. We love it. Please do. Again, like, subscribe. If you're moving to the area, please give us a call. If you need to sell a house in the area, we're always looking for inventory. So please let us be your local real estate experts. Like, subscribe, and thank you. And we appreciate you watching another episode on Living in Richmond, Virginia.